Yeah, cool.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to episode 7 of our IRRV Severnside and Southwest Sponsor Spotlight series. Today it's a tale of two Toms because Ian's not with us. So obviously Tom Clark here from Liverpool City Council, your president, and I've also got Tom Osborne from MRI Software. Tom, do you just want to start off by giving our listeners a bit of information about your career today, your role at MRI, and how you got to where you are?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tom. So first of all, thanks for inviting me to the session. I'm quite excited. So I'm Tom Osborne from MRI. I head up the sales and account management team within our community software division. I've worked with local authorities for over 30 years across both local government and private sector. And during that time, I've worn quite a few hats. So I've been on the help desk in my early days, in my early 20s, then into business consultancy. I was doing data migration, so complex data migration and conversions, account management, and then more formally sales leadership. So I also spent some time working within Welsh Government. So I was helping to translate technical solutions into business outcomes for senior strategic leads. And that experience gave me a broader perspective on sort of how technology can support large-scale transformation. So it was a really good experience, and seeing that connection between central government and local government, which is also very helpful. So I think I feel that my range of experience has helped me with a sort of practical understanding of the day-to-day pressures councils are under.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great. So I'm great to hear that. So obviously you work for MRI. A big buzzword in local government is home working or office working. So how does it work at MRI? Is it flexible? Do you have set days in the office? How does it work?
No, it's a real mix. So it's a mix of the two. So obviously, for myself and a lot of members of the team, we're really productive at home. But as you know, some of the best conversations still happen over a coffee and a whiteboard rather than a Teams call. So yeah, it's a real mix, Tom, to be honest. So I think the downside from working from home for me is my lovely but yappy dog, and the Amazon deliveries for my 3 sons.
That's something we've got in Tom, and I've got 3 boys as well, but they're a bit younger, and it's normally
Oh,
the
have you?
wife's parcels that are
Okay.
punctuating my working from home days. So there we go. That's good. And you mentioned coffee there. One of the questions was, do you prefer tea or coffee? I'm going to take that as a gospel that you're a coffee man, Tom.
Definitely coffee, but I live in South Wales, so that's probably a risky answer. Might lose my citizenship. But no, with a busy job, 3 sons that I just mentioned, including LGR, I think it's less of a preference and more of a support system for me.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of MRI, Tom, just I'm quite well versed in it. For people who are not, what kind of services do you provide to local councils and national government?
Yeah, so MRI supports local authorities across a wide range of services. Although the area I work most closely in is revenues and benefits, I'll talk about that briefly. So in that area, we help councils administer council tax, business rates and benefits services, whilst also supporting digital services, document management, process automation to reduce manual effort and improve efficiency. But beyond that, from a wider MRI perspective, we work with councils across such areas as housing, property and asset management, facilities management, energy management, and footfall analytics. And I think all of these solutions help councils make better use of data, improve service delivery, and typically get more value from their resources. And I think, Tom, what's important is that councils across areas such as housing, property and asset management, facilities management, all of these solutions help councils sort of make better use of data. And I think what's more important is residents don't see separate departments. They just see one council. So they're looking for services that are easy to access and integrated behind the scenes. And I think that's where technology can make a real difference. And I think
Absolutely.
I think we're also fortunate to work alongside a number of well-established local government partners as part of our partner ecosystem. Um, and the reason we do that is because councils need technology that work together, not in isolation. So we spend a lot of time collaborating with organisations that complement what we do. We do what we do very well, but we appreciate there are relationships with other partners and vendors in the market. And I think the real value comes from when information can flow between these systems, reducing duplication, streamlining processes and giving staff a more sort of complete view of residents and those services that they support.
No, that's great, Tom. And it's really interesting to hear you say about the resident just sees the council and not the organisational elements behind it. I'm actually speaking at a conference next week about that exact issue and why we need to change. So it's really interesting. But I do know Liverpool City Council, we work with MRI for children and adult financial assessments as well, in that kind of arena, and that does inform some of our revenues and benefits practices as well. So it's great. I completely agree with what you say with the behind the scenes need for technology to help. So, and as we've been talking about that, obviously Ian's just joined us. So welcome, Ian.
Hi, Ian. How are you?
Yeah. I have to apologise. I had 1 o'clock in my head. So I've just been for my lunchtime run, had a shower, come down and thought, oh, bloody hell.
You've timed it perfectly, because I'm literally at the second to last question before you take over, Ian. So no dramas whatsoever.
We'll have to iron in some kind of segue there, won't we?
Yeah, we will. So Ian, in terms of MRI, then you've mentioned about the services you provide. So what kind of makes MRI a little bit unique to other similar organisations in local government?
Yeah, so I think for me, Tom, it comes down to a few things. So we've been working with local authorities for over 35 years. People will remember the name Academy. That stuck for a long time. But yeah, 35 years is a long time. So we understand the pressures councils are under, and obviously associated with that, the challenges they're trying to solve. So it's also worth noting that a number of our community software team have previously worked in local government, which makes sense. So they bring real operational experience as well as technology expertise. Secondly, I think while many suppliers focus on a single service area, I think MRI, as I alluded to previously, can support councils across a much broader range of functions. So my own focus is revenues and benefits, as you know, but MRI's capability extends a lot wider into housing and property and asset management, digital services, process automation and AI, energy management and workplace analytics. So it's a lot wider, but I think the biggest difference is that we recognise councils need technology that works together. And that's really important. I think the biggest challenges facing local government don't sit neatly within one department or one system. Local government reorganisation is a really good example of that. So even if you just look at revenues and benefits, it affects council tax, business rates, benefits administration, but it also ties into finance, customer services, document management, digital channels, payments, reporting, data migration and governance and compliance. So it does go a lot wider. We have those expertise. So yeah, I think it's about, success depends on bringing that data together with the processes and the people. It's really important.
Absolutely. Someone can just say, I can't afford to pay my council tax, and that can involve a revenues department, it can involve benefits for the CTR, it can involve customer services, IT for the legacy digital forms they might need to complete, financial assessments if they need any care assistance as well. But people don't obviously see that, they just see the council as the council.
Yeah,
so it's like,
absolutely.
I need help. But for us, it's just the whole ecosystem, isn't it? And
it is,
I often think if I was an alien looking at how councils were set up, would I understand it? And probably we wouldn't. And it's not a criticism on how we've evolved and how we've developed, because obviously budgets sit in certain places, organisations and teams and specialisms are important. You can't be a specialist in everything. But I do think there's a lot that needs to change in local government to make it more effective. And a lot of the points you've made today really resonate on that fact. But Ian, over to you now, buddy.
Over to me, yeah. Apologies, I wasn't here from the start, Tom, but
That's all right, no worries.
started
Yeah, it's fine.
talking about challenges, and that's kind of where I come from. But I guess Academy was probably the first system I ever bought back in 1996, I think it was, when I was at Carradon District Council.
I was 21.
Stop it.
I won't tell you how old I was, Tom.
So yeah, sort of. Well, me and Tom have both worked for quite a few authorities and used all of the major suppliers, I guess. So it's good to catch up with you and get your perspective on where things are going, because I know things have changed quite dramatically over recent years. But from a local authority customer point of view, what would you say that you're seeing your customers' main challenges as at the moment? And I'm guessing you've chatted a bit about local government reorganisation. But on top of that, there's a lot of other things going on, isn't there? What would you see the main? What are people calling you up about on a regular basis and saying, "Can you help me with this?"
Yeah. So when I look at the reports from my team in terms of their meetings, and you have alluded to it already, I think the common thread is that councils are being just asked to do more with less. And I know that's it's a saying that's resonated for years and years, and none of that has really changed. But in the current phase of local government reorganisation, they're also doing that while managing major structural change. I think financial pressures remain a constant theme for all councils. And at the same time, services such as revenues and benefits still need to maintain collection performance. We get a lot of queries about supporting vulnerable, hard to reach residents, keeping essential processes running in line with legislative changes. I mean, that's a massive factor in revenues and benefits, as you all know. I think LGR just adds another layer of complexity, of time and pressure. We're seeing a lot of resource changing as well. So that will impact other councils that aren't being subject to LGR. So we're seeing people moving from one council to the next. So we're seeing a lot of movement in our client base. And I think that, with all these new operating models, data governance, resourcing challenges, and business and service continuity is all sort of really active before vesting day. I think that the conversation has changed, Ian, over the years. So the conversations we have with clients is very different to how it was many years ago. Yeah. And many years ago, customers would ring and they would say, "Show me a function, so show me a piece of software." Yeah, the conversation has changed, and what I'm finding is the conversations now start with risk. So what must not fail? Where is capacity stretched? And how do we help reduce disruption while supporting the council towards its agreed sort of new operating model? So it's a combination of things. We're also seeing a lot of stuff around recovery, and that ties back into the collection and performance. So how can we recover ethically? And obviously we're working with partners in some cases where their technology is very good at that sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I would say recovery, LGR, is probably key, and automation, obviously, process automation. I think digital is probably just expected these days. I think that word has probably fallen behind a bit now. We're into automation, and AI is the next big step.
Yeah, I'll come on to that, because that's sort of one of my next questions. What about all the business rate changes? I mean, that was quite a significant late in the day change. Has that sort of been done and sorted, or do you see more work there?
Well, it's probably one for our product lead. I'm not as tied into product, but as with any legislation, as I alluded to earlier, Ian, these things are always a challenge. They always come late, and expectations are high to have these things in on time. And there's obviously a lot of work to do on a lot of these projects.
Yeah. Touching on innovation then and the future, and you've talked about AI, and I know MRI are doing quite a bit of work on a new product for that. But do you want to talk us through what new products you're looking at, what services
Yeah, well,
you've got?
sort of innovation and future, Ian, is it? Yeah. So I mean, I'm particularly interested in and excited about something called MRI Agora. And it might be what you've alluded to. So Agora is MRI's operating platform for AI, automation, workflow orchestration, and data intelligence. And it's built, and this is important, it's built on governed data, on a governed data foundation, rather than being a standalone AI product. So Agora has been designed to help councils get more value from the data they already hold. So the combination of connected data, automation, and AI has a potential to remove a lot of friction from day-to-day service delivery. So in revenues and benefits, as an example, that could mean helping officers find information more quickly, proactively highlighting cases that need attention, improving digital services, or just making document handling more efficient. The pace of change is so quick, and I think what excites me isn't just the technology, but it's the practical outcomes. So, it's giving officers better information when they need it, helping residents access services easily, and enabling councils to make more sort of better qualified and informed decisions. And the approach MRI are taking with Agora is that it's designed to be grounded in the council's own systems, their workflows, and data. So that means the insights and recommendations are relevant to the way each authority operates, while remaining transparent, auditable, and under the control of the people using them. So I don't think the goal is to replace professional judgment, but it's to support it with better information and automation where it adds value.
Yeah, see, I'm just sort of crossing my mind is obviously with all of these changes, you kind of stuck with the legislation as it is being a bit complicated and making it and getting in the way. If you like. Do you have any involvement with the powers that be to sort of advise on future changes that software like AI could better help us with?
Well, from a product perspective, what we're looking to do is, I mean, what's really important here is, and I think it's important for any software organization, is to engage with the people who are specialists in the systems. I mean, as I've said, we've all worked in local government, but I think or a number of us have worked in local government, but we're not experts. And I think that the key thing is to engage with our customers to understand where we can apply some of these tools, I would say, to not impact some of that stuff. I don't think it's something software suppliers should be doing to our clients. I think we should be doing it with you, and I think that's the approach. Well, I don't think we are taking that approach with our clients.
Yeah, Tom. In terms of the work that you've been doing, then have you got any particular success stories, projects that you think have gone really well that you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I think one, Ian, that is probably really good, so that immediately comes to mind is the work we did with West Northamptonshire Council following local government reorganisation. So they had brought together 3 former councils, each with their own revenues and benefits systems, different processes, and different ways of working. So there was a real challenge around creating a sort of a single consistent service for residents. what I'm particularly proud of is how quickly the project was delivered. So from contract signature to completion, the core transformation was delivered in 5 months. Anyone that's worked in revenues and benefits will appreciate the scale of that challenge. So we were migrating large volumes of data. We were cleansing, we were merging, aligning processes across the 3 authorities, and working to fix deadlines around annual billing and service delivery. And I think what made it successful in this instance was the partnership between the council and MRI. So there was a clear objective, strong leadership from the council team, and a collaborative approach all the way through. So rather than simply replacing a system, we sort of helped create a single platform that would support the new authority from day one. And it's provided the foundation for future transformation, which has been really good.
That's like you say, that it's always the timescales that are the problem, and that sounds like a fantastic achievement to get it done.
We had some positive outcomes as well. In line with that. So, the fact it was delivered in just 5 months was a significant achievement. But, they saw new housing benefit processing times reduced by 69%, dropping from over 56 days to 17.5 days. Outstanding housing benefit work reduced by more than 50%. Collection reached about 96.3%, and the council achieved the government's 98% business rates collection target. So, for me, that's what makes the project so powerful. It wasn't a technology project for technology's sake, and it just shows that when councils work well and there's a lot of transparency and partnership in these projects, things can be successful. Yeah.
And you're going to find more and more of those challenges, aren't you, as we go on? Because that's the sort of stuff where we are going to need to move quickly with the LGR and things coming together. So
Absolutely.
It's a good example of what you've done in the market. Yeah, brilliant. Tom?
No, good stuff, Tom. I was just thinking in my mind now, I'd snap your hand off for 96% collection rate at Liverpool. That'd be a big improvement in what we get. But anyway, it's all relevant, isn't it? But Tom, something you've obviously talked a lot about MRI and sort of like what's going to happen in the future and your own views on different things. But I was going to ask you what you thought the biggest myth about MRI was. But based on the conversation today, I'm going to ask you what you think the biggest myth about software suppliers is. Because I'm really interested to hear it from you, because obviously Ian and I have worked through different places. Sometimes we've got positive stories to tell, sometimes not so positive. Some people have even referred to software suppliers as a cartel before. So I'm just interested to hear what you think the myths are.
It was funny actually, because I knew you were going to ask me this question, because specifically for us, the biggest myth is that we're involved in medical scanners, which clearly we're not. But I think probably the biggest myth, not just for us, but other software suppliers, is that they're just software companies. Software is obviously what we and others deliver, but it's not really what we sell. That makes sense. So, I think we all help councils solve real problems. In specifically in our area, it's about protecting income, supporting residents, and managing change and improving services. So, I think the best conversations aren't about screens and features, and I think that a lot of the suppliers, it works both ways, and over the years, what I see is that the authorities that are open and transparent about their plans and their targets and their risks and fears will get more out of the suppliers. That's what we're trained to do. We're there not to sell, just sell software. We're there to understand what's the risk, what's the challenge, what's the timeline of your objective. Where do you see resource challenges? We need to build that full picture. And I sometimes don't think that people realise that we're not just sat here with a list of software modules. You know, it makes it enjoyable for us. You know, I would rather have a conversation about some challenges, about, you know, we've had some recently around LGR, helping customers, you know, who have been really open and transparent about boundary changes, you know, and the risks on resource, and being open about who's making those decisions, which is really important to us. So we can apply the right messages to the right people to get that information to support the officers with, you know, their return on investment, or the reasons why they should do something or not do something. So I think that's probably the biggest myth.
No, that's a really good answer. Thanks for that, Tom. So I can definitely attest to the boundary changes as well. I remember when I was working at Eastleigh Borough Council, probably about 5 or 6 years ago now. But I remember boundary change went slightly wrong, because me and the Section 151 took a list of postcodes from a council member meeting that said this is what's going to change, and we took that as gospel, when we probably shouldn't have done, and we probably should have looked ourselves, because there was some postcodes in the wrong boxes. So we know what can happen when things go wrong. Definitely.
Manual data entry.
Oh, exactly. Don't you just love it? But yeah, so
I had the same issue on boundary changes as well, where we found for years and years and years we'd had properties in the wrong parishes, paying the wrong amounts. It's not easy.
Oh, it can definitely escalate, can't it? Yeah, I've seen little penny roundings go on at annual billing. There's lots of things that can go wrong, isn't there? And yeah, it's all good fun, isn't it? And then you get on the phone to people like Tom and say help, and hopefully get it sorted out. But it's all good fun, isn't it? But yeah, Tom, so obviously just take this question as you want. So if you could give one piece of advice to a revenues and benefits practitioner today, what would it be and why? But just assume they have to take your advice, so you can tell them exactly what you want.
Oh, I think that the one piece of advice is to change the dynamic of conversation with your supply chain. Yeah. So you need to start with outcomes and risks. So be absolutely clear about what you're looking to achieve, what risks that you see around moving to that new model, and the delta of change. So, you know, the one thing we always ask is, or we try and ask is, look, if you've got a problem today, yeah, if we could solve that problem, what would that mean to you as a business? Yeah, in terms of an outcome. And I think that
what's
sometimes
the goal, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's trying to understand the delta of that change, to understand the value of that intervention. And I think there are a lot of conversations that are quite point based, if that makes sense.
Yes.
There's no, you know, I always say to my team, and you know, they are very good at it, that slow down the conversation. So if a customer says to you, we have examples of this, you know, we will have a customer that will come to us and say, we want X. Now, quite easily, we could say, yeah, sure, here we go, here's X. Yeah, but X is always surrounded by something else. And what we do is say, look, we understand you want X. Yeah. However, you know, if we could give you X, what would that enable you to achieve that you can't achieve today? And what would it impact? And it's thinking slightly wider and slowing the conversation down. Makes it more enjoyable for us. It makes that value. We can start to interject value around what we're doing and our expertise, and it makes it enjoyable for everyone, I think, personally.
Yeah, it does.
So I think it's about being clear on what you're trying to protect, what you're trying to improve, and what cannot fail. And I think once that's clear, if there's transparency in that conversation between the councils and the suppliers, you know, we can get aligned around the right priorities.
So basically what you're saying, Tom, is if everybody lived to the theory behind what you're saying, which is clearly ODP principles, the world would be a much better place, right?
Yeah, That's exactly what it is.
I'm the same. It's absolutely. I think if more people, and if people don't know what ODP is, or enjoying performance, go research it. It's really helpful, not just for big strategic changes like what Tom's talking about, but also for your staff as well. You know, it really is a big difference. But no, that's a good answer, Tom. Thanks. So, Ian and I are asking people for one word that would describe the future of local government. We're going to have a crazy word bubble by the end of this series. So if you could describe the future of local government in one word, what word would you choose and why would you choose it?
Connected.
Knackered?
No, connected.
Connected. I thought knackered was better, but go on.
Connected, yeah.
We'll have that
yeah.
one in anyway, Tom.
Yeah, knackered. Yeah. That's what you wanted to hear. No, connected, and the reason being connected data, connected services, connected organisations, connected communities. I just think local government can't afford isolated thinking, especially with LGR and you know, resident expectations are increasing. Dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and yeah, so yeah, connected.
No, it's a good word, and it's also one that we've not had yet in as well. So we're on a bit of a roll with that at the moment, aren't we? There's been no duplicates yet. So you mentioned there about connected, Tom. So just an extra question for me based on that. So obviously you'll be familiar with open source software. That kind of software connects quite easily. Have MRI explored any open source software integrations?
The one benefit within our application, specifically in revenues and benefits, because that's quite key, is that we, as part of our releases and quite early on, we developed a load of APIs, and those APIs can be very detailed. You know, a full range of as what we call Azure APIs, and web APIs as well. So yeah, we supply a very wide range of those APIs to councils who, you know, who want to integrate with third parties, and that's happening all over the country. You know, with some of our partners that I mentioned earlier.
That's good. Thanks, Tom. So Tom, following today, if anyone wanted to find out more about MRI or get in touch, how do they do that?
Yeah, so first of all, the MRI software website is probably the best starting point. We're also active through local government events. So I've got one on Friday, which is I'm going up there to the Midlands. So we're also active through local government events, IRRV, activity, webinars, customer sessions, and LinkedIn. So where we share practical updates and sector content. I don't know whether you know, but I also run a bi-weekly newsletter for local government leaders on various topics, and that can be subscribed to via my LinkedIn page. So yeah, we've got about 1,000 subscribers on that now. So it's been really positive, and it's obviously not just revenues and benefits. It covers a whole raft of different topics that will support and help local government leaders. Yeah.
No, that's great, Tom. Thanks for that. And yeah, if you're not subscribed to that, I know I am. It's a really good read, so get on that, guys. So Tom, you mentioned briefly there about an event in the West Midlands on Friday. What kind of events will we see MRI at in the next few months? And I think you come into our event on the 10th in Bristol.
Yes, yeah, we are. So we've also got the Scottish IRRV. We are joining a lot of the regional events now that we're sponsoring through IRRV, which is great. And obviously the account managers that work in my team are obviously they're not in one place, so they're going to those regional events and meeting lots of people, which is brilliant. And then obviously we've got the main conference as well later this year. So yeah, really looking forward to some of those and getting out and about. Get away from this desk in the house and away from my yappy dog and Amazon deliveries. Yeah.
Yes, escape. Exactly. It does feel a bit like a prison in the summer holidays, doesn't it? Sometimes, like with the kids flying around, but it is what it is. But yeah, Tom. So, final message for our members today. What would it be?
I would just say local government is entering one of the most significant periods of change that we've seen for years. You know, whether it's LGR, financial pressure, you know, drivers around ethical recovery and engagement, or AI. I mean, AI is just going to rapidly change, you know, faster than the internet. I mean, it's just going to be incredible how it's going to support and, you know, drive efficiencies for councils in the right way. I think the councils that will succeed will be those that stay focused on outcomes, as we've already touched on. I think collaborating well internally and with their supply chain, and using technology intelligently. I think, and final thing is MRI is proud to support councils on that journey.
No, and IRRV Severnside Southwest is also very proud to have you as a sponsor as well, Tom. So thanks for MRI for that. It's support like this that helps us put on like these podcasts or our events as well. So thank you very, very much. Ian?
Yeah, it's been really good.
Just echo that. Those thanks to MRI. Really appreciate your support for our association, and as an MRI user, I look forward to seeing you at the events and catching up and seeing how these things develop.
No, that's great. And Tom, if you ever want a trip down to Barry Island, happy to take you for a little tour.
Thanks, Tom. As a big Gavin and Stacey fan, and my kids are as well, I might have to take you up on that. Thanks very much. Cheers, guys.
Take care. Cheers, then. Bye now.
Bye.